To RMU Live for Monday, February 26, 2018. I'm Gage Golding.
And I'm Logan Carney. Here's what's happening now.
The Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers has given notice to the superintendent of city public schools that they plan on striking. The strike would consist of over 3,000 professionals and affect almost 25,000 students. Teachers are required to give 48 hours notice before striking. Students in public schools in West Virginia missed school last Thursday and Friday due to a teacher strike. 227,000 students were off school in all of the public schools in West Virginia due to the strike. Talks between the teachers and the West Virginia Education Association are scheduled to resume today, but students will enjoy another day off as they try to reach a new deal.
The FBI is continuing their investigation into the NCAA. It has already resulted in the firing of head coach Rick Pitino. Reports come out that big schools such as Duke, North Carolina, Texas, Kentucky, Michigan State, USC, and Alabama have all given players preferential treatment. Malik Pope is the first player to get suspended from the FBI probe, as San Diego State suspended him for receiving a $1,400 payment. Arizona head coach Sean Miller was also caught on tape saying to pay freshman star DeAndre Ayton $100,000 to go to Arizona. The agency that the FBI is investigating is ASM, which is owned by Andy Miller.
The last victim of the Parkland, Florida school shooting was buried last week. With more on the story in Parkland is Christian De La Rosta.
14-year-old Martin Duque Anguiano proudly poses with a big smile for his JROTC picture. This is how his family says they're remembering him today. Martin was the son of Mexican immigrants who worked in the agricultural industry near the edge of Parkland. One of 5 siblings and part of a big, loving family. Many of them arriving from overseas for this service. His fellow cadets also here to present him with the Medal of Heroism. He is the third of 17 victims awarded the same honor this week, including classmates and cadets 14-year-old Elena Petty and 15-year-old Peter Wong. Family members posting to social media saying he was a very funny kid, outgoing and sometimes really quiet.
The deadliest school shooting in modern American history are now pushing their governments for stricter gun control laws.
The California Democrat Party has refused to make an endorsement in both the Senate and governor races in that state. For the Senate race, Dianne Feinstein has been a senator for California for the past 25 years. This represents the changing tides as the opposing candidate Kevin De Leon, who is more aggressively liberal than Feinstein. A stabbing in Winchester Library happened the other day. WCVB has more on the story.
Winchester Public Library had only been open for 1 hour Saturday morning when violence broke out in the reading room, allegedly at the hands of 23-year-old Jeffrey Yao.
Mr. Yao began striking her with what we now know to be appears to be a hunting knife with approximately a 10-inch blade. She suffered a number of slash and stab wounds to the head and upper torso.
Witnesses, including a 77-year-old man who was also stabbed, jumped in to help, but the 22-year-old woman, who reportedly had been studying in the library, was pronounced dead at a local hospital.
Oh my God, he snapped. Oh my God. There's that moment where you're just like, I can't believe this.
Yao's neighbors on Faro Street in Winchester sickened to learn the allegations against the young man, but they aren't shocked. Several neighbors say they've had problems with Yao over the years, who neighbors accuse of trying to break into homes and vandalizing property. Residents so fearful that some would not allow their kids to play alone outside, resulting in a group of neighbors reportedly speaking to the Winchester Police Department this summer about their concerns.
We talked to the police and they said, we watch him. We know about him. We just, at night when he goes out, because he tends to go out at night, we shadow him and see what he's doing.
Officials have not revealed a motive at this point, but say that Yao was known to police and won't reveal any more details until Monday's murder arraignment.
Are there any indications that there are mental health or drug abuse issues at play here?
Well, that's part of the investigation that'll be unfolding.
We went to the police, and now this poor innocent girl, whoever she is gone. And they have to do more in this country with mental illness.
The call for mental health treatment improvements in that story is echoing a call across the country after the latest school shootings.
The University of Pittsburgh is looking into an option to becoming a private college, following what they are saying budget cuts that are killing the school. In the 1970s, the state funding covered 35% of the university's operating costs, but now only covers 7%. A spokesperson for the university made it clear that the school is doing everything that they can to not make the move to privatization. People that are trying to manage diabetes now have a new method that avoids needles. Patients can now take inhalable insulin. The method is painless and takes as little as 5 seconds, according to researchers. We're going to send it to Chief Weather Forecaster Reagan Check with the weather.
Record-setting rainfall is causing many landslides in the Pittsburgh area. These areas include Beachview, Duquesne Heights, Squirrel Hill, Spring Hill, West Elizabeth, Ross Township, and West End. These landslides have caused trees to fall onto businesses and causing residents to evacuate their homes. Road closures and, in Ross Township, cars have been buried. And with more on how the weather has been affecting the city of Pittsburgh, here is Megan.
Although the weather in Pittsburgh is usually unpredictable, the past couple of weeks and most of February has some Pittsburghers saying they've had too much. People in the region have experienced snow, sunshine, rain, and even tornadoes throughout the month of February. The extreme shifts in weather have been affecting locals in the area in their day-to-day lives.
Kind of a strong believer in climate change, and I think that the current weather trends kind of point in that direction, kind of, prove that.
It's like kind of crazy. We just walked up there, and to see all that flooding is pretty wild. Like down through here, the 10th Street bypass, that like flooded over and then froze. That was kind of crazy to see that. I mean, it happens every year, but it seems like it's happening a lot more this year. The dogs, they hate the salt, so like when it's warmer like this, it's kind of nice to be able to take them out, go for a little longer walk.
I think I'm pretty much done with winter now. I look forward to the winter, but yeah, I'm looking forward to wearing t-shirts again for sure.
Now, as you can see outside, it's a beautiful day, not like the past 4 or 5 days have been with all this rainfall. It's kind of a nice break, and we're even going to have a look like this tomorrow as well. Let's send it back to the desk with Gage and Logan.
For the best coverage in Robert Morris and around the Pittsburgh area, be sure to check out RMUCentralMedia.com. Coming up, we look at why some companies are boycotting the NRA.
We talk more about the Olympics and take a look at the medal count. All this and more coming up on RMU Live. Stay right here with us.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Adventure can be found anywhere, but the best place to start is in the forest.
I spy something beginning with S.
Snow?
No.
Snow-covered trees.
Nothing to do with snow.
Head outside to discover incredible animals and beautiful plants that come together to create an unforgettable adventure.
Wow.
So grab your loved ones.
Don't even.
And explore a world of possibilities.
Come on, this way.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find the closest forest or park to you.
order regarding DACA and stated that the Trump administration must continue the program protecting the undocumented immigrants from deportation. The decision is a big loss for the Trump administration as the Republican and Democratic parties have been using DACA as a bargaining chip to pass policies. The program protects some 690,000 undocumented immigrants. The Olympics went through their closing ceremonies on Sunday night, and during their closing ceremonies, the United States, South Korea, and North Korea were all seated in the same box in the stadium. A lot of people hope that the Olympics will strengthen the relationships between those three countries after South and North Korea competed in the games as one team. Now we're going to send it to Mike Shuley as he does Shuley on Sports, giving us the Olympic medal count.
All right, thank you, Logan. And with the Olympics finally finished in Pyeongchang, the final medal count is here. And now, as you can see here, the Norway ended up with the most medals here with, as you can see on the graphic right there, with a total of 39, 14 of which were silver, and another 14 were gold, 11 were bronze. As for the United States, they took home 23 medals, and 9 of these were gold. One of these gold medals went to the men's curling team, America's first ever gold medal in the sport. Another first for the United States came from Kickin Randall and Jessica Diggins, who became the first American women to win gold in the cross-country skiing women's team sprint freestyle. Other gold medals came in women's hockey, snowboarding, and skiing. The U.S. also racked up a total of 8 silver medals and 6 bronze medals during the Winter Games in South Korea. Unfortunately for the United States, their medal total was only good for 4th place, which is the same position as their finish in the 2014 Winter Games in Sochi. In Pyeongchang, the countries ahead of the U.S. were Canada and Germany with 29 and 31 medals respectively, which of course, Norway being on top of the overall standings. Now let's head back to Logan.
Thanks, Shuley. Congress released parts of the memo that was put out by the Democrats in response to the House Intelligence Committee's memo that states that the FBI and Justice Department have conspired against President Trump. The original memo used information obtained by British spy Christopher Steele, who got a warrant funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign to monitor Trump's foreign policy advisor Carter Page, and the Democrats' memo was released in response. Speaking of responses, President Trump will respond to the Democrats' memo by tweeting out, quote, the Democrat memo response on government surveillance abuse is a total political and legal bust. Just confirms all the terrible things that were done. So illegal, end quote. President Trump has labeled the Russian investigation a witch hunt as well.
President Donald Trump is encouraging Americans to back his wish of a military parade in Washington on Veterans Day this year. The White House released that the parade could cost taxpayers anywhere between $10 and $30 million. Trump did acknowledge that the cost could be a concern, but is looking into alternative routes.
Corporations have cut ties with the NRA following the most recent school shooting after a protest aimed to end the NRA's lobbying power. The boycott started after the gun debate town hall broadcasted on CNN. Companies such as United and Delta Airlines have taken away perks, while streaming giants like YouTube and Amazon continue to stream NRA videos online despite the protesters being against that.
On Sunday, a spokesperson for the National Rifle Association pushed against the president's idea to raise the minimum age purchasing limit of a semi-automatic weapon to 21. The spokesperson also stated that Trump has not formally backed the idea of raising the age limit.
Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has called off an official trip to Washington to meet with President Donald Trump after a tense phone call brought the two leaders to a policy-driven standstill. President Trump has been calling for Mexico to pay for his border wall, and the cancellation is a result of that as the two could not reach an agreement. Former President Barack Obama has announced that he will visit New Zealand in March to speak at an event that is being hosted by the New Zealand United States Council. The visit is scheduled for March 21st to March 23rd, and former President Obama will be speaking on March 22nd.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama will be releasing her newest memoir later this year. Her newest book, Becoming, will hit the shelves of bookstores on November 13th. It is reported that Obama's book deal was a $65 million deal. Following the closing of the Olympics in Pyeongchang, North Korea is reportedly willing to have talks with the United States. The Olympics have been dubbed the Peace Games in hopes to encourage both the U.S. and North Korea to relax tensions and to reach talking terms. An explosion in Leicester, England injured 6 people. Authorities said that the major incident occurred Sunday evening local time. 2 people are in local hospitals in critical condition, but all are expected to make a full recovery. The explosion destroyed a shop located on the road. Police are investigating the blast. A court in Iraq sentenced 16 women to death following their commitment to the Islamic State group. The Turkish women were ordered to death by hanging in a Baghdad court. Iraq declared victory over the Islamic State in December, which has held control of nearly 1/3 of the country since 2014.
Uber is introducing a new, cheaper ride option in Miami called Express Pull. This comes while they are still trying out self-driving cars in cities such as Pittsburgh. The new option can be up to 50% less than usual fares and calculates a drop-off point that is mutually beneficial to the driver as well as the passenger. Coming up, former aide to Donald Trump's presidential campaign is pleading guilty to charges.
And a woman accused of shooting a driver after they cut her off. All this and more coming up next.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary. Smokey! Only you can prevent wildfires.
Live, a man in Texas is working to get his son back from his ex-wife, who authorities say her parents helped her smuggle the child into Brazil.
Look, see all your cousins?
Dr. Chris Brand dreams of these moments, just father and son Nico, hugging, laughing. He's worried it may never happen again.
My only goal always has been and always will be to get Nico back, right? That's the only thing I'm interested in.
2 weeks ago, the U.S. government arrested Nico's grandparents, Carlos and Jemima Guimaraes, when they entered the United States from Miami. Nico is still in Brazil with his mother. Now charged with international parental kidnapping, the grandparents are set for their first court appearance on Monday here in Houston, and Brand knows what he wants.
At the detention hearing, I hope that they're denied bail, honestly, because they are a family who are extremely wealthy, have tremendous resources.
Eyewitness News has learned the grandparents have hired well-known Houston attorney Rusty Hardin and Jimmy Arendon to represent them in court. They're expected to ask for bond and fight the charges every step of the way.
This is a compelling, unprecedented event, right? This is something that is really garnered the interest of a lot of people. And I think more than anything, it will shine a light on this issue at large.
Brand says he hopes the judge and the prosecutors will keep the grandparents behind bars so that he may have a better chance of getting his son from Brazil.
The grandparents of the child are still sitting in jail awaiting a detention hearing to request bail.
China announced on Sunday that it plans to abolish their term limits to keep President Xi Jinping in power indefinitely. The goal of this move is to allow the Communist Party to return China to its former glory of being a world power. Xi's allies believe only he is the one that can do it.
The Syrian government made moves against a new United Nations Security Council resolution that called for a ceasefire. Syrian-led forces launched a ground offense on Sunday, in addition to their airstrikes dropping at least one bomb. The offensive moves targeted the eastern Ghouta suburbs of Damascus. At least 22 people have died in the past week. A new study released recently shows that e-cigarettes may actually be worse for you than smoking. The study conducted at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg's School of Public Health found that vaping may have toxic levels of lead and other metals that are lethal to the human body. The study tested 56 different types of e-cigarettes.
The United States Health Department believes that an Australian tourist has spread measles across New York City. If not vaccinated by measles, then it has a 90% chance to infect you if you come in contact with a person with the disease. The U.S. Health Department has released all the places that the tourist has been at. You can find it on their website. The Pittsburgh Pirates' off-season has been relatively quiet until recently. We send it to Mike Shuley with Shuley on Sports as he tells us about the Pittsburgh Pirates' off-season.
All right, thank you, Logan. And with the start of baseball right around the corner, the Bucks have had all offseason to make the changes they deem necessary to this year's squad. However, some of these moves did not really go over well with the fan base as the team traded away ace Garrett Cole to the Houston Astros and longtime face of the franchise and former MVP Andrew McCutchen to the San Francisco Giants. In return, the Buccos received a handful of players such as Colin Moran, Joe Musgrove, and Kyle Crick. Luckily for the Pirates fans, a sign of optimism came with a recent move to acquire all-star outfielder Corey Dickerson from the Tampa Bay Rays for a fairly low price. And there is no better time than now to show that optimism, as the 2018 Buccos could look as we can see what the 2018 Buccos could look like this spring training as it is now underway in Florida. So far, the Pirates have lost 2 games and tied 1 to kick off spring training. And they will be in action again today shortly as they will kick off here at 1:05 against the Boston Red Sox. Let's go back to Gage.
Be sure to tune into our other shows, RMU-Live on Mondays at 1 p.m. and Fridays at noon, Sports Talk in the Berg, and RMU Tonight on Wednesdays at 5 p.m., and Colonial Sports Center on Thursday at 9:30 p.m. right here on RMU-TV. Coming up, we check in with Reagan Check in our Weather Center.
And we send you back to Mike Shuley on Shuley with Sports with our sports anchor, Mike Shuley, coming up.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Rappaport is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shuley on Sports. I'm Michael Shuley, and let's dive right into this weekend's roundup. We're going to start with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who were able to split their 2 games this weekend. They started off by picking up a 6-1 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes. Jake Gensel, Evgeny Malkin, and Phil Kessel each recorded 3 points en route to victory. However, the Penguins could not continue their winning ways Saturday night as they were bested by the Florida Panthers by a score of 6-5. Malkin was once again the leading man for the Pens as he added another 3 points to his lengthy career resume. As for RMU sports, it was another tough weekend for the men's hockey and basketball teams. The hockey team was at home to take on the Air Force Falcons in their final 2 games of the regular season, but the Colonial struggles continued throughout the weekend series. The first game saw the Colonials fall 1-0 to the Falcons as RMU was shut out for the first time all season, and the second game saw the Colonials take on the Falcons again, but each team was just able to score 2 goals as the game ended in a tie. RMU is now winless in their last 6 games, posting a 0-5-1 record. The Colonials limp into the playoffs, where they will luckily be at home for the first round, and they will take on Bentley this upcoming weekend. And on the men's basketball front, things have not gotten much better for that team either, as their loss to St. Francis 80-60 marked their 7th loss in their last 9 games. This includes losing each of their last 3 regular season games. The Colonials will enter the NEC tournament as the 7th seed, and they will travel to Mount St. Mary's on Wednesday to take on the Mountaineers. And luckily for RMU, the women's basketball team has continued to be dominant as they picked up a 67-61 victory on Saturday over the Bryant Bulldogs. Freshman guard Hinoki Ikamatsu led the charge for the Colonials as she contributed 19 points and shot an impressive 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. Ikamatsu's deadly sharpshooting is good enough for 9th place in all of women's Division I basketball. This RMU win sealed the Colonials' 11th 21 season in program history. The win also secured the Colonials as they host for the NEC tournament throughout the semifinals and even possibly the championship game. Now let's toss it over to Reagan Check for a look at the weather.
Thank you, Mike. And looking at today, it's a beautiful day despite a little bit of wind. We're in the high for 51 and the low for 31. 0% chance of rain, which is pretty great after all the rain we had. And looking at tomorrow, it's pretty much the same, except the high is now 56 and the low is 38. So definitely take time and enjoy the next few days, because looking at the 5-day forecast, we're looking at rain the next 3 days. So we're looking at a high of 57 on Wednesday and a low of 45, but we are going to get some rain. And luckily, on Sunday, we will go back to the nice sunny weather with a high of 46 and a low of 29. Let's send it back to the desk with Gage and Logan.
Thank you very much, Reagan. Looking forward to keeping those warm temperatures around. I'm a big skier, but, I think I'm ready to move on past the winter weather, get right onto the spring and the summer. Shorts and T-shirts, that's what I'm looking forward to. What about you?
I'm looking forward to all of the playoffs that we have coming up. Women's hockey, men's basketball, women's basketball. This is the best time of the year. We transition not only in the weather-wise, we start transitioning from winter to spring, but we start transitioning from the winter to spring sports, so we get all the winter playoffs. And I'm very excited for that, and that's what I'm definitely looking forward to recently.
Absolutely. It's always nice to see more people out and about on campus. More people doing stuff, happier obviously whenever RMU Colonials are winning. That always helps us out and kind of, spread some cheer around the cafeteria.
Well, especially since we got women's hockey will be at home, men's hockey will be at home, women's basketball will be at home, men's basketball will be on the road. But, you can catch them, of course, on the internet if you have a computer. But who doesn't have a computer nowadays, right, Gage?
There you go. We all have one. But more importantly, you can go to the games and check those out. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for RMU-Live today.
And we will see you in 2 weeks as we take a week off. Good night, everyone.
It's 1 o'clock in the